From my time on USERF, I can tell you with certainty that the world is not paying enough attention to the growing humanitarian disaster in Nigeria. Despite its strategic importance as Africa's most populous country, these warning lights are flashing because of this systematic religious persecution driven primarily by Islamists, and it's going unaddressed. Former Secretary of State Antony Blinken later suggested in a meeting with USERF members, which I was present, that these massacres were caused by climate change, that desperate Fulani herders were simply looking for pasture land. Let me be clear, this is not about climate change. It's about a violent extremist ideology that seeks to eliminate Christianity from Nigeria's northern and central regions. The evidence is undeniable. This is systematic religious violence. The U.S. government must act, and they must act now. Nigeria must be redesignated a country of particular concern.
The United States House of Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa, with the chairman Chris Smith, has declared the United States President Donald Trump to impose harsh sanctions on Nigeria over the killing of Christians in the West African country. Mr. Smith blamed the previous Joe Biden administration for removing Nigeria's country of particular concern (CPC) designation, saying that Nigerians constitute 90% of Christians killed worldwide annually. U.S. Congress declares Trump to impose crippling sanctions on Tinubu's government. The House subcommittee reached the resolution following a Wednesday hearing regarding the persecution of Christians in the West African nation, noting that the wanton violence against Christians in Nigeria had significantly worsened in recent years. One of our distinguished witnesses today, Bishop Wilfred Anawe of the Diocese of Makurdi, Nigeria, traveled a long distance to be with us today and will testify.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for giving me an opportunity to be heard at a critical time in my country, and particularly my state, Benue. I am Wilfred Anawe, and I appear here as the bishop, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese, the capital of Benue State in Nigeria. I am the shepherd of one of the four Catholic dioceses in Benue. We have others, Anglican, Methodist, and Pentecostals, which certainly Benue State has a population of about 6.1 million people, 2 million of whom are those under my care as the bishop of the diocese. Benue State is about 98% Christian, with very few Muslims living in towns. Nigeria and eventually my diocese and the state of Benue have become, in recent years, one of the most dangerous and insecure places for Christians. Christians and Muslims are nearly evenly divided among Nigeria's large population of over 200 million persons. Islamist extremists are fiercely contesting the possession, control, and governing law of the land, especially in the country's northern and central regions, the latter of which is where Benue is located.
Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists, Mr. Smith said during the hearing on Wednesday. He went further to say that they steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it, they kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from the elected officials. None of them have been arrested and brought to justice. The subcommittee also noted that Nigerians constituted 90% of Christians whose lives are gruesomely taken away worldwide annually, citing a 2024 report by the Observatory for Religious Freedom in Africa, showing out of the 55,910 people unalived between October 2019 and September 2023. 21,000 of them were abducted in the context of terror groups. Make no mistake, all of these attacks are based on religion. Like I said, and diverting attention from it denies what we have seen with our own eyes. This religious cleansing needs to stop and the perpetrators be brought to justice, the report noted. The subcommittee blamed the Nigerian government, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for not doing enough to protect Christians from persecution, even though freedom of religion is enshrined in the country's constitution, while decrying instances where Nigerian court system has been weaponized to punish Christian population. Yet, the government of Nigeria has failed to make progress against religiously motivated persecutions of Christians, despite religious freedom being enshrined as an essential human right in its constitution. The subcommittee noted in their report, and it added, likewise, Nigerian legal framework supports pluralism at both federal and state levels, but glaring contradictions exist, especially with laws that criminalize blasphemy, some even carrying the death penalty. Mr. Smith blamed the previous Joe Biden administration for removing Nigeria's country of particular concern designation, which was placed on country on the first Donald Trump term at the White House, despite U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom's recommendation for 4 consecutive years between 2021 and 2024 to redesignate the country. He recommended that Mr. Trump should do more to help Christians in Nigeria, including placing the country on CPC, Country of Particular Concern designates on Nigeria, and urged him to reach out to his Nigerian counterpart, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the matter. Mr. Smith also asked Trump administration and the US Senate to be ready to work together to impose sanctions if the killing of Christians doesn't stop. While I strongly believe that President Trump will again designate Nigeria a CPC and do much more to assist the persecuted church, including outreach to Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Last night, I reintroduced the resolution. I hope that we will have a robust discussion and that it will get marked, Mr. Smith said. He also added that let him say that he will put the rest of his statement into the record. This hearing, they are hoping, will be a catalyst for action by their own government and also by Congress, and of course, above all, the executive branch. The new president has a lot to do, and he thinks he will do this and then, if necessary, impose sanctions on Nigerians. Where that has happened, there has been changes. Where it doesn't happen, the status quo, the killing fields, would definitely continue. On hearing this, the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs rejected the recent reports, alleging that targeted killings of Christians is wrong. The federal government described the report as part of a misleading campaign aimed at influencing foreign governments to designate the country as a country of particular concern due to violence against Christians. This was contained in a statement signed by the acting spokesperson for the ministry in Nigeria, Kimebi Ebienefa, on Friday. However, the ministry acknowledged that the country's security challenges, but stressed that such incidents are not motivated by religious bias. Nigerians say that the majority of violence in the predominantly Muslim northern regions stem from criminality, insurgency, and banditry, not religious persecution. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria said they wish to express strong concern over the recent wave of misinformation and misleading reports regarding the supposed targeted killings of Christians in Nigeria. The unfortunate development is intended to influence foreign governments, especially the United States government, to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to the violence against Christians. Despite this denial by Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, the video evidences are there. We've seen series of attacks on Benue State, Enugu State, some northern states, Kaduna, where Christian communities are being targeted. If they're saying it's not religious based, what exactly is it? Why is it that it's the Christians that are being unalived every time the terrorists attack? Even the ones that happened in Plateau State, especially on the 24th of December 2024, it was a very gruesome unaliving of an entire community, Christian community. Here are some video testimonials at the US Congress meeting.
Numbers are staggering. The brutality is unspeakable, and the silence from global leaders is deafening. Let me share just one recent example. On February 9th, Fulani terrorists armed with AK-47s, these are not hunting rifles, these are rifles designed to kill, I served, after coming out of the Marine Corps, I worked with the State Department in anti-terrorism and very familiar with the mode and operation of terrorists. They stormed a village in Gombe State. They first seized a 9-year-old boy from the Puma family and demanded ransom. They then sought out the Reverend Bala Galadima's home. They found him. They broke into his home. They demanded money. He pleaded with them, saying that he had none, but he offered them what he had. He had grain, so he offered them grain. They refused. They shot him 3 times, killing him. Sadly, this is not an isolated incident. In late January, Boko Haram launched a series of coordinated attacks on Christian villages in Chibok, the same region where 276 schoolgirls were kidnapped in 2014, Mr. Chairman. You'll remember that. We discussed it then. In fact, many of those girls remain captives to this day. The terrorists set homes and churches ablaze, destroyed livestock, and demanded that Christians convert or they die. More than 4,000 believers have been forced to flee for their lives in recent weeks alone. As has been mentioned, according to Open Doors, more Christians are murdered for their faith in Nigeria than any other country in the world. In 2024 alone, 3,100 Christians were killed. 2,830 were kidnapped. These are not just numbers. These are fathers, their mothers, their children, their families.
As Nigeria's internal struggles worsen, what is clear is that the country's instability is rooted in a vital shortcoming. After 64 years of independence, the country still struggles to cultivate a national identity rooted in basic freedoms and dignity for its people. In Nigeria today, ethnicity, religion, and language, not nationality, remain the benchmarks of personal identity for the country's highly diverse population. While Nigeria has witnessed repeated ethnic and religious clashes over the years, its ethnically and religiously diverse population is not the problem or the cause of these conflicts. The problem, however, is that ethnicity and religion in Nigeria have become instrumental markers that are used to mobilize and successfully acquire power, resources, and political dominance. It is important to understand the nature of violence in Nigeria and its causes, which extend beyond the religious or ethnic overtones that appear to motivate that animosity. I grew up in Jos, Plateau State, in Nigeria's Middle Belt region. I visit Jos regularly, including in December 2024, just a few days before the Christmas weekend attacks that killed and displaced hundreds. These types of attacks have plagued local communities in Plateau State for more than 20 years. Having grown up in the Middle Belt region, I am deeply aware of the compounding impacts of these protracted conflicts on one's vibrant communities. Whether labeled as banditry or terrorism or communal clashes or ethno-religious conflict, at the root of this violence is a failure of governance to meet the population's most basic needs, not only livelihoods, education, and healthcare, but also their need for perpetrators to be held legitimately accountable. Elections and political appointments are two important areas where the interplay between religion and politics is most clearly demonstrated in Nigeria. Nigerian political leaders romanticize Nigeria's unity, but do little to cultivate it. On the contrary, they often stoke ethnic and religious tensions in election campaigns, seemingly to distract from their failures to deliver for the people they are supposed to serve. The divisive political climate of the 2023 elections illustrated this tendency. Furthermore, off-cycle elections conducted in 2024 also exposed the fragility of Nigeria's electoral process, as some political actors openly intimidated election officials and violently disrupted elections, suspending by-elections in Kano, Akwa Ibom, and Enugu states. Certainly, recent data, as that from the non-denominational global network Open Doors, appears to indicate that violence against Christians, who make up 46% of the population, has been unaddressed by the previous Buhari administration, and no tangible progress has been made under the current Tinubu administration.
Let us know your own opinion in the comment below. Don't forget that you're watching Ife's Hub and my name is Ifeka. So like, subscribe and turn on your bell notification to stay updated. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video.